Restaurants do more to protect us? Well, we can speak to Mark Lorry, who is the director of Nationwide Caterers Association. Also, Goss Gossel, who is head chef and director of Fresh and Funky Catering. Natalie Dyson-Coop, whose 4-year-old son Callum has severe allergies to milk and nuts. And also Josh Abbott, who is allergic to peanuts and suffers from anaphylactic shocks. Thank you all very much for joining us. Callum, I know that you've got your teddy and your TV, so you can watch that while we talk and maybe join in if you fancy. But Mark, I wanted to come to you first to get your reaction actually to that guilty verdict.
Pretty shocked, to be honest. I think that the caterer in question, is pretty negligent from what we're hearing from the court case. Most food businesses wouldn't act like that, you would hope. But it will certainly be a wake-up call to anyone running a food business in the UK of what can happen if you're not responsible and don't take the required steps to ensure that your customers are safe.
How much awareness is there over nut allergies in kitchens, any allergies?
There's been a law in place for about 1.5 years now, so all food businesses have a legal obligation to train their staff and to understand the risks and to act appropriately. But I'm sure that there could be more done to get that message out there.
Natalie, you're here with Callum. Yes. Callum has severe nut allergies, doesn't he?
He does indeed, yes.
Do you feel vulnerable every time you go out and someone else is preparing the food?
Very much so. It's a bit like Russian roulette, really, because you have to put your trust into the people that are creating the food for him. You can tell them what he needs to avoid to try and keep him as safe as possible, but at the end of the day, it's quite a big element of trust to find out whether it's going to be okay or not. And there have been occasions where people have been fantastic and have listened and there's been no issues. But there's also been occasions where we've gone out and we've eaten and in 2 hours' time he's had a really severe reaction with hives all over his face and his body and swelling of the lips and so on.
In spite of the fact that you obviously would always say the allergies that he has?
Absolutely. I mean, on occasion I've even had to pull out the EpiPens and said, you really do need to listen to us because this is serious. A little bit will actually kill him. It's not just it's going to give him a bit of a sore tummy. It's a life or death situation for him.
Callum, you obviously are aware of the fact that you've got the nut allergies. Do you tell everybody that that's something that you need to be careful about?
Yeah. Do you tell people you've got to be careful with your food?
Because it's obviously everybody who's around somebody with a nut allergy has to be aware and responsible.
I mean, with him, he's got quite a few. He has 18 severe allergies, so we've got quite a lot that we're trying to control at any one time. And as long as you're making sure that people are aware of what's going on, then 9 times out of 10 it's okay, but people need to take the responsibility and say, right, this is serious. We can't just say, oh yeah, a little bit's okay. It's like saying to somebody, well, we'll stick some arsenic in the coffee. That'll be okay, won't it? Well, no, it's not. It's actually quite serious. So that's when they start to take on board that it's something that needs to be listened to and that people that are doing the catering need to be fully aware of the consequences.
Josh, you've got a nut allergy as well. Yep. Do you worry about eating out?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, going to trying new restaurants, new places, always have to check the menu, always have to ask the staff if anything does contain nuts. And then, if the staff haven't been trained fully, if they're not aware, then there is that chance of just taking the risk of, do they actually know what is actually in there?
Have you had any bad experiences?
I have a couple of times. A few times when I've been eating abroad, there were restaurants that cooked some meatballs in peanut oil, and there were no warning signs, nothing at all to indicate me that it was peanut oil. Lucky, I didn't go into full anaphylactic shock at the time, but that's just lucky, really.
So do you have to have an EpiPen all the time?
Everywhere I go, I carry an EpiPen with me. And just have to make sure I have it with me at all times, just in case.
Goss, how much awareness is there in the kitchen that you work around this?
I mean, we take any sort of allergies seriously, whether it's gluten, lactose, nut allergies, and you have to train your staff. That's the most important thing. Staff have to be trained because rules are changing all the time within the industry, and as Mark was saying about, the allergy thing came in, so we have to list everything that goes out of the kitchen, what's in there, what's in this, and I think if you can train your staff and make your staff responsible for what they're cooking and how they're cooking it, I think that's a stepping stone in the right direction, because we can't make mistakes like obviously this guy did, and you can't have that ever happening again, because that's the last thing anybody wants to happen, is somebody passing away from eating something they shouldn't eat.
He was using peanut powder.
Yeah.
Josh said about something being cooked in peanut oil. Are these products that are widely used?
Yeah.
I think within the industry, you do get obviously different caterers will use different types of oils, different sort of methods of cooking and stuff like that.
Why use them though if
It's-
there is potentially such a serious side
Well,
effect?
I think it's to do with. I mean, it could do with pricing. It could do with flavouring. It could do with a number of things. But I think what it comes down to is that if you are using peanut oil, like you were saying, this needs to be advertised.
Should it be on every menu?
Yeah.
I think it needs to be shown.
100%.
If it's,
And does it?
No, it's not always shown.
Not
because
always.
people don't realise it's actually part of the ingredients. And as long as we're told that it's used, it's not a problem. They don't have to change the way that they're creating anything. It's
Just
more a
let you
case of
know.
let us know so that we can make a judged and informed
Yeah.
opinion as to whether it's safe or not.
What about making that an absolute obligation, Mark?
Well, it is. I mean, they
Well, it should be on the menu.
yeah,
clearly.
a food business should either have a sign up saying what allergens are in the food, or they should have a sign up saying ask us about the allergens, and the staff should be able to inform the customer effectively of what processes are going on within the kitchen, what ingredients might be there, what risk of cross contamination there might be. So these are all legal obligations which the business in this occasion has failed on.
Natalie likened peanuts for her son as being like arsenic to any of us. Arsenic wouldn't be used obviously in any kitchen, therefore is there any place in catering kitchens for peanut oil, peanut powder, anything else that's sort of widely used where it's not an essential part of a recipe?
Well, it may well be an essential part of a recipe. I think that if you're doing it due to cost, then there are
I think you're right
questions whether you need to do it. But in this,
Sorry, so what you...
Yeah, I think if it's part of a recipe, then you can't really avoid not using that ingredient.
Yeah.
But I think you also have to make the client aware, the customer aware, that you are using an ingredient that's got nuts in it or is nut related.
I mean, it's obvious, isn't it?
Yeah.
With most things, if there are nuts in it, it'll sort of be part of...
But
But with
I
a
think
peanut oil or something
But you
else,
can
that
use an
wouldn't
equivalent.
be...
That's what
Yeah.
I do. I create recipes that are top 14 safe that use an equivalent, so they're completely safe for people with allergies. It doesn't have to be peanut, but if you are using it, declare it, let people know.
But I think it
This
also
is,
comes down to training.
Yeah.
I mean, it's trading standards rather than environmental health that manage the allergen side of this issue, and the reason for that is because it's labelling.
Yeah.
And so if you are very clear with your customers that, maybe don't even walk into my restaurant because there is a chance that there'll be peanuts in there, that they could cause you a problem. So unfortunately, this isn't the place for you. I mean, that is a far better bit of advice to
I
give
agree.
an allergen sufferer than sort of letting them risk walk through the door, letting them risk order the wrong food, and relying on staff to get it
There
right.
has been a couple of instances where I was going out to eat at a restaurant and they cooked all of their fried food in peanut oil. I wasn't made aware of this. There was nothing that jumped out at me visibly on the website, and there were no signs outside the
So
restaurant.
what, like chips, anything?
Chips,
peanut
anything
oil?
that goes in a fryer was all done in peanut oil.
Yes.
And there was nothing that jumped out visibly to me to indicate this. Luckily, I noticed the boxes of peanut oil were there and had to leave. But if I hadn't have gone in that entrance, if I'd have gone and sat down and ordered, somebody next to me could have come and sat down with a bowl of chips, and the airborne allergens could have affected me. Definitely more needs to be done to make clients and customers aware of what's been used in
And
ingredients.
the legislation that came out in December 2014, hang on, Baba. The legislation that came out in December 2014 has improved this, but I think there's still an awful lot more to do. When you've got people like Can I Eat There is a fantastic site for being able to find out if it's safe. You can type in whoever it is you want to go and eat, and they've got menu options available.
We're
So
right out of time, and I think Callum has had enough as well. So we'll stop it there, but thank you all very much. Thank you. Have you decided how you're going to vote in the EU referendum? If you're still not sure whether to vote in or out, you can come along and take part in one of our big TV audience debates on the issue. On the 6th of June, we'll be in Manchester, just over a fortnight before the actual vote. It's open to everyone. It'll take place during our normal airtime between 9 and 11. If you want to take part, and you can get to Manchester from wherever you are in the UK, email victoria@bbc.co.uk to have your chance to question and listen to senior politicians from the Leave and Remain campaigns. Thank you very much for your company this morning. I will see you same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Hello, very good morning to you. It's a half-decent day for many of you. Yes, there's some cloud across the northeast of Scotland. Certainly the pegging, the temperatures there, 8 degrees only. Out west, though, many areas pushing towards 14, 15, 16 degrees as I speak. The reason for that pegging of the temperatures out east, though, is the cloud and the onshore breeze. Even where you've got a bit of sunshine, it's 11, 12 degrees, something of that order on those eastern shores. But inland, somebody's going to get around 19, 20 degrees, more likely across western Scotland, west of Northern Ireland, western Wales, perhaps, and in the London area too. Overnight, what changes? Well, we're going to thicken up the cloud across the North Sea, and eventually it may well bring a wee bit of rain into the eastern side of East Anglia, perhaps up towards the Lincolnshire coast as well. Keep the process going on through the day. A different beast on Wednesday, much cooler, wet and windy fare here for the northeast. 8, 9, 10 degrees, something of that order. Come Thursday, we'll just push that cloud and rain ever further towards the west with some showers away to the south where it's a wee bit warmer.